The latest immigration report from Customs and Border Protection shows illegal crossings in El Paso, Texas are up by 19%. And One America's Pearson Sharp explains how a broken asylum system and a lack of border protection is devastating communities along the border.
A shocking new report from Customs and Border Protection reveals the El Paso sector of Texas is under invasion from illegal aliens. In just 1 year, from 2017 to 2018, illegal crossings through the sector shot up by nearly 1,900%, from 591 apprehensions to nearly 12,000. This graph shows just how bad the problem is, with illegal aliens surging across the border in record numbers. Across the Rio Grande Valley, the numbers have exploded from over 7,000 in 2017 to a staggering 23,000 last year. One America News spoke with former Border Patrol agent Chris Harris, who explained most of the apprehensions are due to a surge in people claiming asylum at the border. Harris says in areas like the Yuma sector, the illegals will cross through areas without barriers and then simply ask for asylum when they get picked up by the Border Patrol.
Apprehensions are up 600% in San Diego. What accounts for that?
That is mostly the asylum seekers. The system is being misused and abused. They found a loophole. The cartels, the smuggling organizations have found a loophole, and they're exploiting it dramatically. But so what they just learned was that jump the fence somewhere else, especially where it's like 8 foot or non-existent, and just stand there and wait for us to come get them, or go through the port of entry and claim asylum. Over a 1,700% increase over the last several years of people claiming asylum. So what's happening now is people are claiming asylum for everything.
While the New Mexico area around El Paso was once one of the quietest sectors, it's now the second largest alien smuggling corridor in America. Border Patrol agents explain that while there is a substantial border wall protecting El Paso, there's next to no protection at all in the neighboring counties in New Mexico, meaning the illegals are flooding around the areas with walls and into the areas without any border protection. While Democrats try to paint this as a non-issue and claim President Trump is exaggerating, the raw numbers reveal just how dire the emergency at the border has become.
There's a crisis on the border, and we're being overwhelmed by the abuse of the asylum system. So I don't know how you would say there's no crisis. I guess if you were a journalist and you went along a fence where there's nobody crossing, you'd say there's no crisis. Well, that just proves the fence is working there. The wall's working there. So there is, without a doubt, and I say this unequivocally, for somebody who's worked down there for 22 years, there is a crisis on the border.
Just recently, Border Patrol agents captured 306 migrants suffering from severe health problems, including one man infected with deadly flesh-eating bacteria. These criminals, along with their diseases, including syphilis and gonorrhea, would be freely roaming America's streets without protection from the Border Patrol.
We have a typhoid epidemic in L.A. now. When was the last time you saw typhoid in the United States? These people are ill, and they're bringing third world diseases here, and you're mixing in criminals and malcontents. So all that helps to hurt the United States.
Even with help from the Border Patrol, vast areas of America's border with Mexico remains unguarded, allowing hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens, just like these, to cross every single year. And while the Border Patrol are distracted taking these disease-ridden illegals to holding areas, smugglers use the diversion to sneak even more across the border.
But more people might be getting through that are criminals and bad guys because we're tied up dealing with asylum seekers. We have to pull X amount of agents out of the field to process them, to make sure they're fed, to bring them back and forth to the hospital. So many of them are ill. So many of them have diseases. So we sometimes have like 10 agents from one station at the hospital basically babysitting these people who have arrested. So
and there's no one watching the border.
In areas, there's no one watching the border. So when we're already short-handed and short-staffed, now we got to pull more manpower out of the field, and we have to have them watch these people and feed them and literally make sure there's diapers and all that kind of stuff and take them to the hospital. We have whole areas of the border that are left unwatched. So there you might see an increase of bad guys getting through, the criminals, possible terrorists. That's what's really scary, because we're leaving that area open.
Meanwhile, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is essentially calling the local residents and victims of violence immoral for wanting to protect themselves.
We need to be able to vet who comes into our country. We want to keep out criminals, gangbangers, narcotics, terrorists. You have the right to lock your doors at night, to keep bad people out. You have the right to decide who comes into your house, how long, or if they come in at all. As a sovereign nation state, we have that same right and that duty to protect the people in here.
But she seems to be ignoring the fact that Congress has approved the construction of border walls under all 3 of the previous presidents, including 130 miles under President Obama. Democrats are fighting as hard as they can to protect these illegals at the cost of real American citizens. Stacey Abrams, the former candidate for governor in Georgia, says she doesn't have a problem with illegals voting in elections, while New York's Mayor Bill de Blasio wants to give 300,000 illegals free health care. Potentially 100,000 non-citizens may have voted in Texas elections over the last few years, and New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is vowing to try and shut down the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency.
So I don't understand how we got to the point where you don't want the U.S. Border Patrol or ICE to go after actual criminals and gangbangers. The fact is, they're going after bad people. Everybody's against human trafficking. Well, who's one of the premier agencies that goes after human trafficking? That's ICE.
It sounds crazy, but these are just a few of the examples proving the left values illegals more than it does protecting American citizens. President Trump has sworn to protect the border and threatened to impose a state of emergency to get the job done. It's not clear how the confrontation in Washington will shake out, but after being abandoned by the Democrat Party, President Trump's plan is the last hope for the desperate American families living on the border. Pearson Sharp, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.